Hey, welcome to the Happy Rant podcast. I am Ted Cluck, joined as always in studio by Barnabas Piper and Ronald J. Martin. And boys, I feel like Ron is back home, in that Ron is now on the road again. So, baby, you're in Minneapolis. You are up there, not for retreating. Sadly, you're attending meetings. But I want you to describe for Piper and myself what your accommodations are, because I feel like your accommodation philosophy has changed since we met each other. You used to be strictly a Hyatt Place guy, although I feel now that you're more of the Airbnb variety. Like, how dare we stay in a hotel when there's like Airbnbs to check out? So are you
what
staying
was the one we stayed at in Louisville? Was that like a former meat packing plant or something? I mean, it was
Dude,
something.
it was like a Victorian meat packing plant that was 6 inches away from I-65 South, which made for just a cozy sleeping environment. But baby, are you in an Airbnb there currently in Minneapolis?
Baby, I'm not, man. So the deal is, my first pref is going to be the Hyatt P. And when I can't find a Hyatt P locally, I do Airbnb. And so since I'm at a denom thing, weirdly enough, the EFCA, they literally have a Quality Inn in the same parking lot as their offices, as the corporate offices. So I get to stay at a quality, or I should say a not so quality inn.
Maybe I was going to say that's the least hipster like travel experience imaginable. You must be hating your life right now.
I mean,
is this
not
difficult for you?
It's not awesome. I mean, I'm going to be honest, man. It's not up to my spec.
I'm going to be honest.
When I think of
Quality Inn, I think of like minivans and roof racks on cars.
Totally, man.
Like that's
Totally.
that's
That's
sort
what
of
it
the
is.
ethos that comes to mind.
Yeah, there's like 7 traveling baseball teams like downstairs right now, like in the chlorine like infested pool, right? That's
Man, this is beneath Ron Martin. There's no hipster coffee. There's no like.
To be clear, this is not a Sojourn event. This is not up to Sojourn standards.
Dude, no, of course not. This is not.
Guys, this is not. This is the evangelical, whatever that word means, Free Church of America event. So yeah, it's
somebody's triggered because you said evangelical.
right. Yeah, somebody's triggered.
Our
Absolutely.
apologies,
Dude, I feel
our
like
apologies, listener.
I feel like the EV free guys. It's like a badge of honor how much you like suffer when you're spending the night. So that's kind of it.
Check this out, boys. It was really funny. So so I'm sitting in my second day of meetings, and I had there's like 2 main leaders, and I had one of them come to me, and they said, "Dude, are you okay?" And I said, "Yeah." I go, "Yeah, I'm fine, I think." I go, "What's up?" And they said, "Usually, we look to you to kind of keep these meetings kind of funny and a little sarcastic. And dude, you haven't been doing any of that today. And me and the main guy were just wondering if everything was cool." So literally, that's why they're bringing me out for these things now. That's
Dude,
what it
they
is.
need to know that you need to be pampered at a certain level, or else you're not going to
understanding.
you're not going to
baby.
keep the
That's
meetings
right.
light.
Right.
Yeah. They need to pamper you. Well, Piper, we have lots of business to do. One of those bits of business concerns meeting venues. So I don't know if this events company could help with Ron's accommodations, but they could certainly put him
Let's hope so.
in a very hipster, very comfortable meeting environment.
Yeah.
So Piper, why don't you tell us about
Let's
this?
hope to gosh that can
Actually, both of our sponsors could really help Ronnie's current environment, just dramatically.
Wow.
So I'm going to introduce our new sponsor first, because I feel like this is one that those particular people who are leading your meetings would have benefited from reading in advance. So the sponsor is Waterbrook Multnomah, and the book is The Life-Giving Leader, if you can see where I'm going with this. The Life-Giving Leader by Tyler Reagan. He is the president of Catalyst, but I feel like there's not a lot of life in the meetings that you are having. And from the way you were describing them before the podcast, Ron, I mean, it just sounded, I don't know what the word is, drab, sad, blah. I mean, I think we could continue. Maybe that's just the quality and ethos, and that's what's coming through here. But there's definitely a lack of life-giving leadership of said board meetings. And when you said you were on day 2 of meetings, my heart sort of sunk for you, because that's just torturous. But
It is, and I appreciate
now-
that. I appreciate
Now,
it.
Piper, is Tyler Reagan like a dynamic leader? Is he just going to like cut you in half with his enthusiasm? What are we looking at here?
So here's the thing. So Catalyst has that reputation. It's like big, showy, a bit of a gong show sometimes on purpose. They do these things. He's not like that. He's like a quiet, strategic planner. It's not like a lack of personality, but he's much more of a behind the scenes, working directly with a team of people. not so much like the hey MC guy of things.
Yeah.
And I mean, he'll get up there and do that, but that's not his personality, which is part of the reason I think this book has a little bit more legitimacy, because he actually invests in leading people as opposed to in being in front of people, which are not exactly the same thing.
Interesting. Now I'm looking at his website, and he does something on here that I like a lot. He has his own like personal logo. So I feel like a personal logo is a step beyond just having a name. So everybody has a name. Not everyone has a personal logo. So
is it like the Prince symbol?
No. It's like it's a TR. It's a very special TR. You would have to be on his website to be able to see it.
Not to be confused with a tiara.
No, not a tiara. Not at all. Like the opposite of it. Just a very artistically done T and R, so that you know what you're dealing with. But Piper, what else do you have to say about the book?
So a quick description of the book. So Tyler is a pretty pastoral-hearted guy. He's the one who, Catalyst brings in a whole bunch of leaders, like business leaders and megachurch leaders, whatever. He's the guy who always makes sure that they bring in one or two preachers every year. So the Tim Kellers, John Pipers, Francis Chans of the world, Matt Chandler, guys who are actually going to, say something that sounds a lot like the gospel instead of just sort of best practice stuff. So he brings a lot of that spirit into it, but then also uses his own experiences, failures, and successes in learning how to lead from a place of knowing who you are and your own identity, which can sound a little bit navel-gazy, but from the perspective he's coming from, it's more like a place of sort of quiet, humble self-confidence, knowing what kind of a leader you ought to be. So it's a really good book, and a really kind of a fresh take from a behind-the-scenes leader as opposed to a big branded leader. Although his endorsements are by people who are those big branded leaders, which tells you the kind of connections he has. So we've got Bob Goff, we've got Louis Giglio, Ted.
Whoa.
Yep, Louis Giglio, that's the big one. Buzz Williams.
Louis.
Do you know who Buzz Williams is?
No, I don't, but I want to see him. I'm
Buzz
looking
Williams,
him up right now.
Buzz Williams used to be the head basketball coach at Marquette, is now the head basketball coach at Virginia Tech. Also a pretty devoted believer, from what I understand.
Dude, I'm looking at him. He looks just like a Buzz Williams.
He does. He looks like a Buzz. I mean, granted,
Buzz always looks like a Buzz.
Dude, I want to get a Louis Giglio visual update too, because we were talking about him in class today. So my students were talking about like old men, like old man pastors who try to be young and who look like they buy their clothes from like Forever 21. And Lou came up, man. Sweet Louis. Louis came up.
I would have pegged him as more of a Hot Topic guy myself.
Yeah, he's a Hot Topic guy. Definitely.
He's more of a
last
Forever
episode,
21 guy.
Yeah, you remember last episode, Ted, when you were talking about the Nashville dad who wears the jacket with too many pockets?
Louis the Nashville dad. I'm looking at him right now.
He's the Nashville grandpa. Because the dude is like 60.
He's the Nashville grandpa.
But that's not Hot Topic. I mean, he's not all broed out with like the black shorts and the high-rise socks and all that stuff.
Yeah, no, he's 60 going on 20, man. 60 going on 20. He's ageless.
Just thinking,
look
like
at this.
6 months, I'll be Lou Giglio.
Oh, yeah. Well,
things to aspire to.
There's a certain like CrossFit-y kind of growth hormone, like anti-aging clinic ethos to Lou Giglio that you don't have.
Right? Doesn't he have the guns and all that?
Yeah, he's got the gun show, man. He's definitely doing the gun show.
But he's not like Furtick or Grishel gunned up. He's just fit old man. Like you look at him and you're like, that guy takes care of himself.
I think his clothes are just slightly too tight. Actually, if he just bought a size up, he wouldn't look like any of that. Like that would fix everything.
His clothes are too young. He dresses like he's 25, even though he's like 60. It's wonderful. This is amazing. I love this. All right, Piper, tell us about our next sponsor.
All right, so that one is the Life Giving Leader from Waterbrook, Multnomah. Check it out. It's available now. It has very good reviews on Amazon. So other people besides me say it's a good book. If you don't trust me, our other sponsor is Noah's Event Venue. I'm going to say it real clearly so that Ted gets the name right, and then I'm going to describe it so that Ronnie knows what I'm talking about this time. Because last time,
we had some trouble last week, didn't we?
How do they have a parking lot at a venue?
I still don't understand it at all. But go on.
All right, so Ronnie, this is me speaking to you. Pardon the noise outside. The neighbor's using a leaf blower because he knows I'm doing a podcast.
Guys, I cannot work.
Oh, because it's autumn, Piper.
Yeah, it's 98 degrees in autumn.
Piper, I don't want you to catch a chill. It's all the way down to 102 outside. You throw a shawl on before you go out to swim practice.
Let's just say about 30 minutes before this podcast, I bathed in Gold Bond powder just to be not sticking to myself. Anyway.
Seriously.
Noah's event venue. So, Ron, this is how this works. This is actually aimed at people just like you. You are the target demo for this promotion.
I'm a 4. I'm not anybody's target demo.
Fred, I'm wildly unique. No one's like me.
Okay, well,
Absolutely.
You know people. You know people.
There
who
you
this
go.
is
Now
for.
we're on the right track.
You might even influence people who this is for. So now, now you can feel special. You,
it's for Louis
4-wing 3. So Noah's Event Venue is a company that owns buildings, physical buildings all over the country that are set up to host different sorts of events, specifically churches. Are you following with me, Ron?
Yeah.
So next time that Substance wants to spin off another campus that's not in Florida, although I think they do have Florida locations. Noah's has Florida locations. So your next campus could be at a Noah's Event Venue. And here's what you get in the deal. So they have the building with the room where you can do your services. They also have rooms where you can do all your children's ministry or small groups or other classes. They have parking lots. That's what we were struggling to understand last week, I gather. It also comes with all the audio-visual needs. So microphones, podiums, projector screens, TVs, Wi-Fi, stage lighting, surround sound. Oh, wow. Ronnie, your voice coming from all angles. Imagine.
That's not vintage enough, Pipe, but go on.
Well, yes, but maybe you need to meet people where they are, not where you are.
Snap. He's being contextual now.
And it comes with Apple TVs. Those are not analog. You probably don't know what to do with those.
I literally don't even know what you're talking about.
They also have a cafe space. It's not all exposed brick, wood, not a ton of metallurgy going on, but there's an opportunity for people to be caffeinated.
Can you get it without food, though, for Ron's church?
Well, I'm fairly certain the cafe space comes with no food, so it's up to you to staff it, but not stock it, and then you're good to go.
Yeah. Oh, that was tricky.
You can put your people in there, put them in their aprons, deliver no muffins or bagels or anything like that, and everybody is miserable, and it's perfect for hipsters.
Okay.
So,
you just would have said it like that the first time, and I think you did actually.
So you're tracking with me what we're talking about now, Ron?
Okay, yeah, but I'm still confused on this one thing. I know that they don't have one of those venues in my town. How do you know if they have one of those venues in your town, though?
Oh, this is the perfect question. This is like a setup question.
Setup.
If you go to noaheventvenue.com/church, they have all of their locations across the country. Now, to be fair, it's mostly major metro areas, and as much as we love Ashland, it's probably not considered a major metro area.
Just a metro area.
It's just a metro area. It might just be an area. So noaheventvenue.com/church. You can check these out. So if you are a church leader, church planter, a church looking to expand or move, or you're tired of the school you're renting, or you're fighting with the government over the school that you're renting because it's a public school, check out Noah Event Venue. They've got you covered if you're in a major metro area in one of 30 states. There you go.
Dude, reform people love fighting with the government and hating the government. So I feel like this fits right into your wheelhouse. You can just circumnavigate the government altogether and get your own events venue. But boys, I do want to talk about major metro areas because we had breaking news come out of Nashville last week that was of a fascinating
Wait.
nature.
It's not breaking news until there's the breaking news jingle.
Dude, we can get it. Let's let me cue it up here in the studio. This is me shuffling papers in the newsroom. Here we go. Dun 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 dun. So, boys, I'm ripping this off the wire. The story as we speak, and the story is, I don't know if you were aware of this, but there's going to be a next Great Awakening, and it's going to start in Nashville by one Michael W. Smith. So this is an incredible story. Smitty indicated after doing a show at Bridgestone Arena that essentially because the Bible has bridges in it and it also has stones, that clearly the next Great Awakening would come out of Nashville, and he would be leading it. If you're not familiar with growing up evangelical in the 80s, there was a crappier Christian analog to every pop star in the 80s. And Smitty was sort of like the Christian George Michael. So in terms of facial hair and
man mullet.
And mullet, facial hair, not being gay, in all of these ways. Smitty was George Michael's analog, and now he's leading the next great awakening per himself. Now, my question to you, Piper, as a Nashville resident, and then we'll get Ron's input as a basically a colleague of Michael W. Smith, as a musician.
Wow, they have tons in common. I can't wait to hear Ron's take.
They really do have a lot of. They've probably traveled together. They've probably stayed at comfort inns together. My question to you, Piper. I have a theory. My theory is that Nashville, because of the number of egotistical entertainment industry people and the number of rich people per capita, is actually the second most ridiculous place in America after Hollywood. And I think it's ridiculousness in a place like this that sort of spawns this thinking that yes, I am going to lead the next great awakening from Bridgestone Arena. Piper, your thoughts on this breaking news matter?
I'm struggling to refute the statement you just made. I'm trying. I mean, so we've got Hollywood and all of Southern California as the most ridiculous, I think. Would Greenpoint, Brooklyn be on in the top 5? Dude, of most ridiculous?
Would, but I think there has to be there are a few ingredients that go into the makings of a truly ridiculous place. There has to be money, which Nashville has in droves now. There has to be the promise of fame. So the promise of fame just makes people go crazy. And Nashville has that. Hollywood has it. I don't think super hipster gentrified Brooklyn can deliver the fame carrot quite in the same way.
And in some ways, maybe. It's sort of a Stu's fame. That's true because it's it's like a popular subculture. Whereas Nashville is oh no, we're culture. We are. Yeah. This is the place where suckers looking for platforms go.
Dude, right? It's a magnet for platform suckers, and I don't know. I just think to me that makes Nashville a pretty fascinating place. Second only to Hollywood in terms of ridiculous.
I think I think you're right. I think there's the religiosity of it adds a special sort of a dash of absurdity because I don't know of anywhere in the country where commercialized Christianity is so prevalent as Nashville.
Dude, it's amazing because you can couch your greed and your ambition just your naked desire to be famous.
Sorry.
You can couch all that in spirituality, which just makes it all the more kind of seductive and ridiculous. Big R, now you've lived in close proximity to Hollywood. What do you have to say about my theory of ridiculousness and of this Great Awakening story?
Yeah, man. I agree. I think it's okay. So to back up a little bit, I have a relationship with Nashville. I was on a label for almost 20 years that was the anti-Nashville, right? It was located in, hipster Seattle. But we would have to occasionally go to Nashville, pass through Nashville, do showcases in Nashville around the Dove Awards and, all those types of things. And there was just such a distinctly everything we did was to the opposite of what sort of the flavor and sort of the vibe was of Nashville, which was this, I can't explain it, man. It was trendy on one hand. And then on the other hand, it was just it lacked any sort of genuineness, and right. and even so you get around that, we'd call them Nashville bands, and they would all be super nice, but they would all be super sugary, almost like they were trying to be nice because they wanted to hang out with you because they assumed that you despised them, and yet they would just but you had literally no influence over them whatsoever, and you knew that, right? And so I'm not being really clear, but so to see Michael Dove,
I think you just described Southerners.
Oh shoot!
Real. This is probably a sidebar.
I'm super in trouble now,
but just that super sugary, the upfront politeness. My mama raised me right, so I'm going to be polite to you. But who knows what happens when your back is turned? So right. I think there's just a heavy dose of Southern culture in that description you just gave.
Well, but it was but it's even and this is hard to explain because it's going to sound crazy, but you'd get around these dudes and they would all be they'd all be wearing like their cool band T-shirt of a band that they've never listened to, and they would all be trying to talk to you about stuff that they thought you would think would make them look cool, and then they would just go back to like being the newsboys after that, right? So it was like this thing where you just didn't even know what was going on with that because it was just so weird and foreign and fake. And so, man, I used to play at Rocketown, so I have a little connection with Michael Dubb, right? Because he was like the owner of that, or he originally was. I don't know. Still is. There you go. Boom. So Michael Dubb making a prediction about him being like the next, like, what did he say? Second grade. What Great Awakening is? What is this? What did he say? It's like the next revival.
Great Awakening, yeah.
So what is that? Like the third Great Awakening?
I think this would be the third. But
yeah, the third Great Awakening.
Do you keep them in sequence if there's been like 300 years between them?
Absolutely, man. Yeah, I love calling it the third Great Awakening, just like I love calling World War III when it finally gets here, even though there's been a massive gap. It just makes it that much more ridiculous, right?
That's fair.
So it's all about branding.
So for Michael Dubb to come and
there can't be a revival without branding, Ted.
That's what I'm saying.
Absolutely.
And Michael Dubb, I mean, he's about 76 years old right now and still looks like he did when he was 23.
Ronnie's just jealous.
Dude, he's on the Louis Giglio aging plan.
He's just getting started. Guys, the kid's just getting started. And he's going to transition out of piano-based post-Elton John, pop music to leading the third great revival. It's so baffling to me that I have any time to process.
He's just a young kid coming up in the business, and we wish him the best. We really hope that he makes it.
Did you guys get the sense that, like, I read the little clip on it, it almost felt like cut, like they cut it short? That's how it felt to me.
Yeah, it felt to me like, so the piece I read on it was the piece that Piper sent from Relevant Magazine, which was a really just kind of a relevant mashing together quotes from Smitty, and kind of with the subtext being, look at how ridiculous and funny this is. And, that was it. I don't know that Smitty himself really has like a plan of how he's going to roll out the third Great Awakening, just that it's going to somehow emanate from him. So that'll be something interesting for you, Pipe, to keep your eyes on, being a Nashville resident.
Yeah,
so you can.
I'll be looking for a movement of the Holy Spirit coming in on the wings of Friends Are Friends Forever. That's
well, dude. It just seems like those guys always get weird. You know what I mean? Like there's always this breaking point at some point when they get older, when they just go kooky. You know what I mean? And then I don't know. When you say
those guys, what do you mean, Ron?
I just mean guys that used to have like
former professional Christian musicians.
No. I mean successful ones.
Oh, okay.
Like guys that actually did made billions of dollars and had these massive could sell out arenas. And by the way, I mean bridges are in the Bible, stones are in the Bible, but arenas are not in the Bible, right?
So, well, you know what? I mean, it depends what translation you're working with, probably. So. Maybe in the message.
I think I would like Ronnie to do a quick exposition on bridges and stones leading to revival. Because I don't know, call me the dumb plebe here, but I'm struggling to piece that one together. I need our resident preacher to put that sermon together for me.
Dude, that's like you're asking him to do like a word study. This could be a 55-minute sermon, Piper. He's going to need a week and a half.
We can edit the podcast. Dear Resonate, cut Ronnie's sermon down to 6 minutes. Kevin DeYoung approved.
Dude, I have no idea.
Exactly. Let's move on. I like it. Boys, let's move on to something near and dear to all of our hearts. I think two things. This is really the confluence of two things that I know that everybody on this program has great affection for. One is the Great British Baking Show. The other is Gospel Coalition think pieces. So I don't know what could be better than putting those two things together. And we have hammered on Brett McCracken on this program before. Brett is kind of the TGC's resident foodie, resident culture guy, resident elitist. And I say that with a great deal of affection. So Brett has done what often gets done on the TGC, which is to take something enjoyable that nobody really thought they needed permission to enjoy, and TGC goes ahead and grants that permission anyway by attaching spiritual significance to the program. So I have to come clean here, boys. I have to be honest in that I did not read one sentence of this think piece, but I'm assuming one of the two of you gentlemen did. So would one of you guys fill me in on the nature of this think piece and how we're supposed to think about British baking?
Go for it, Pipe.
Oh, was I supposed to read it? I skimmed
it.
All I saw was the headline, and I thought, oh no, TGC stole Ronnie's thunder, because nobody should be writing about British baking shows except
Dude, I
for
agree.
Our
this
own
should
Ronald.
be your
That
thing.
is absolutely correct. That is, I have to, as much as Michael W. Smith thinks he's going to lead the next great awakening, I agree with you on that. I should be writing that. Absolutely.
Dude, baby, let me ask you this. Real talk here. How much would you love to be TGC's resident elitist? So if Brett McCracken ever moves on from that position, how much would you love to be that guy?
Well, I mean,
is that a gig you would want?
No, listen, can I tell you guys a secret?
Yes.
Okay, so I've submitted 2 articles to TGC in the last couple of months. No, they asked. They wanted them. And
oh, they did.
Yeah,
Ooh.
About specific topics.
Maybe that's major juice.
They haven't. No. They haven't ran any of them. They want I send the article. They don't run. They don't run them.
No.
So I don't. So it's and it's okay. It's just but I don't. Yeah, to be the resident. Well, here's the thing. To be the resident. To be the resident dude like you're talking about. I mean, I guess. But to be the. I don't know if they run my articles.
Maybe because you're not writing elitist articles, you're writing churchy articles, and they're like, you know what? We have churchy articles coming out of our ears. We need something about cronuts.
Dude, I was asked for the churchy article.
I want to lean into this topic a little bit. So they reached out to you. So you're there in your minimalist office in Ashland, Ohio, and by that I mean you're in an airport lobby, and the email pops up on your device, and you're just stoked out of your mind because you see that it comes from an editor at the TGC, and you're like, you know what, this is my big break. They're asking me for an article. Can I ask what they were asking you for? Is that like a violation of?
No, it's not a violation at all. But it came on the heels of another article I'd written that they never wrote. So I said, well, dude, there is that other article I wrote, and they're like, oh yeah, well, can you write this article? And I'm like, yeah. And then a long time has gone by. Let me just put it.
So they're essentially teasing you with this.
It feels
you're churning out. Thousands of words of content for them of think pieces that they're not running. So what becomes of this stuff? Are you gonna recycle it at some point? Is there a statute of limitations with the TGC where 3 months goes by and you're just like, you know what, that's mine again. I
don't even know if they haven't ran it. I feel like it's mine, but I mean, I write so many articles. I mean, it's been. I mean, it feels like it feels like I wrote these articles at the second Great Awakening. It's been so. Yeah. It's been so long.
It's been that long ago.
Yeah. So I don't. Absolutely. So I don't even. At some point, I just don't know what to say, man. I mean, I love TGC. I'm a huge fan. I love the staff there. No problems at all. I'm just a little perplexed.
But apparently they don't love you.
Apparently they don't love me, and apparently they go into the deepest recesses of my mind and say, what would Ronnie Martin love to read about more than anything? And then they have Brett McCracken write on Great British Bake Off.
So while Ronnie is wrestling with this publishing crisis, I'm scanning the article, which typical of TGC is about 1,000 words too long. But the idea of it's not just a how should we think about. It goes a different direction. So credit to Brett McCracken for finding a fresh take on pop culture,
like local culture, right?
Local culture, yeah. So he's talking about how we often think about engaging the culture, and he's like, no, actually, there are cultures, and a show like this is sort of a conduit into engaging specific cultures and showing the goodness of them, and and then it gets the nice Christian spin to church and ministry and things like that. So it's a different flavor on how should we think about.
Dude, I love it. I love
it. Nice.
Yeah. Maybe Big R. Maybe that's the direction you need to be going. You can take a nod from Brett McCracken and his work, and if you make yours sound more like his, then
maybe you know what's crazy?
Maybe some of these articles will have a shot.
I can't even do that kind of writing. Like appropriating like something pop culture to how my mind just doesn't even work that way. So I look at articles like that and I just go, oh wow, I could never do that. I don't know.
What articles did you write for GCO? Like what were the topics? They were just
like what Pipe said. They were just like, nothing stupendous pastoral articles on.
Maybe let me get an update from you strategically on something that that Barnabas and I put in front of you several episodes ago that was going to really launch and reshape your career, and that is becoming the go-to reformed like treat yourself guy, the rest guy, the like take a retreat guy. Have you pursued that anymore? And what's popping for you in that area? Because I think that's an untapped market.
Yeah, I mean, I just edited a book on sabbaticals. I guess that's my first foray into the treating yourself rest retreat man persona that I'm trying to cultivate right now. Yeah.
I think we can cultivate that. That has legs. Did you really edit a book on sabbaticals, or was that a joke?
No, I promise. Yeah,
it's a real thing.
Because that sounds completely ironic.
No, I promise.
It sounds ridiculous, but congratulations.
Like I can send you the cover scheme for it right now that they just sent me. Yeah, absolutely. Crazy.
Dude, so whose book is it?
It's just a new author.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
So I have a conspiracy theory that I'd like to run by Ron about the Gospel Coalition and your lack of publication recently.
I'm not angry about it, guys. I just want the record to show.
Well, that's
TGC,
okay.
for the record, Ron's not angry. He's not burning the bridge. You should hire him for more things.
That's right. He loves you guys. You're lovely, delightful, beautiful people. No, my conspiracy is that they found out that you are in favor of this thing called the Enneagram.
Uh-oh.
And that puts you right in the occult, and there's just no way you're ever getting published until you give 9 reasons why the Enneagram is, utter rubbish or something like that.
Pipe, you know what? That's when have I ever talked about the Enne though in public? Oh, on the podcast.
I mean, other than this podcast?
Better yet, other than 666.
Other than that time I got dinner with Colin Hansen and we just talked about it the whole time. But
you walked in and you were like, "Oh, you're definitely a 1," and he was like, "Get out of here."
He's like, "Don't ever speak to me again. Don't ever speak of witchcraft or to me again."
Get that occult out of my face.
Oh my
god,
gosh.
Dude, real talk though. Either of you guys, has TGC ever run a piece on the Enneagram? I feel like this has to be a thing.
You mean other than Joe Carter's piece saying why it was problematic?
Why it was literally
I remember
literally 9 reasons why it was occultic or whatever.
The irony of that one is that there are 9 numbers in the Enneagram, which made me think that Joe is. It's like a subtle. It's either like a subtle point-by-point detraction, or one of these methinks thou dost protest too much kind of things. And Joe is actually really into it, but he's trying to kind of save face. He's like, "No, guys, I'm not a 5. Leave me alone. Back off, y'all."
Pipe. It's funny too because Joey got hammered online for that one, man. He just got hammered.
Dude, Joe C got hammered for that?
Yeah. I mean, he had a lot of detractors when he said, "Hey, look, here's my article on the Enneagram." And he had all these dudes just going, "This is insane. Have you lost your mind? It's a tool. Relax, Dude,
don't ruin the Enne for affluent white people, man. We don't have much. I mean, don't take that away from us.
How else are we supposed to think more about ourselves?
Exactly. Precise.
Yeah. Exactly. How else are we going to be narcissistic if we don't have the Enne to teach us how to do it? So
I need to put a number on my narcissism, please. Give me the Enneagram.
All right, easy, boys. You're sounding like Joey. Easy.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. Baby, I have one more follow-up question having to do with Michael W. Smith and the music industry. So I feel like there's more fascination there. I know we're creeping up to 5 o'clock, so we have to knock off for the day because we're working men, and 5 o'clock is the end of the workday for us. But my question is this: so in all your Nashville experiences and your music travels, how close did you get to Michael W. Smith? And by close, I mean either actual physical proximity or just sort of cosmic proximity in the music industry. How close were you to Smitty?
Dude, I've been so I never met him, but I was, sometimes when depending on the festival you're at, they have these they have like these backstage areas where only the artists are allowed. So I was, he'd be back there for some of those things. But
at a Christian one, that would be pretty empty, wouldn't it?
What's that?
I said at a Christian fest, that would be pretty empty, wouldn't it? If only the artists are allowed.
Well, that's why I was the only guy back there. Boom.
Hey,
yeah, exactly. It's lonely at the top, baby.
Yeah. So it'd be something like that. And then, he doesn't know who I am, and I'm just, and it's like I wasn't a Michael Dubb fan growing up, not even ironically, so it just meant like it was nothing there for me at all. So.
Dude, did he ever like ask you for a bottle of water in the green room thinking that you were the help, and you're like, you have to be like, no, I'm actually one of the rock stars?
I would have just given him the bottle. I would have just given him the bottle and looked over at my friends and like winked. So yeah, nobody knows.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Perfect. Absolutely. Piper, in any of your evangelical work, have you ever had any proximity to Smitty?
No, because he functioned in a more mainstream sphere than, so I crossed paths with Jars of Clay and Third Day and some others at various points, and then like in the rise of the worship leaders, I've met a bunch of those guys. But no, he was always more just sort of like center cut Christian radio stuff, which isn't really that was not the stream I swam in, so to speak.
Yeah, man.
Although his sister works at the same company I do, so...
Wow.
There's that.
Really?
Does that count? Like on in 6 degrees of separation from Michael W. Smith?
Is this program going to bring you heat from Smitty's sister? Is that going to be an issue?
Here's the deal. Anybody at Lifeway who listens to this podcast is not going to give me heat about anything we say on this podcast.
There you go.
Because that's the kind of people they are. They're awesome people. Not uptight.
That's a good wheelhouse to be in, definitely. Boys, I have time for one more quick question, and I just need a name on this. If either of you could pick one ridiculous celebrity to actually lead another Great Awakening, who would it be? What ridiculous celeb would you want?
Wow.
Yeah.
Like anybody, or are you narrowing it down to like? Oh, okay.
No, anybody, any celeb.
Wow, man. I'm just trying to think of who's like. I just want somebody funny.
Yeah.
Like I do Will Arnett. I just get Will Arnett.
Okay, that's solid. See, that's solid.
What would your choice be, Ted?
Man, I might have to go with another Will. I might go Will Ferrell on that one. Because I agree with Ron. I think funniness is a core value that would need to be a part of this. Maybe Vince Vaughn. Are we allowed to like Vince Vaughn, or did he do like unacceptable things?
Oh, he's good, man.
No, I think he's still safe.
Straight anymore.
He hasn't fallen to Me Too yet.
I feel like I could listen to Vince Vaughn speak at a bunch of conferences, and that would be a lot of fun for me.
Oh, is that how Great Awakenings work? It's a bunch of conferences? Because in that case, we've been in the third Great Awakening since like 1994.
Dude, exactly. We're right in the middle
Promise
of it, right?
Keepers was the beginning of it, and we're still rolling. Look, white dudes at a conference must be an awakening.
Absolutely.
GGC 10, The Great Awakening 17.
That's right. I would go with Frank McKinney. I want Frank McKinney to lead the next Great Awakening.
Frank, yes. You can catch him at a Barnes & Noble in the Florida Panhandle sometime soon. So Frank has given us a lot of content. Tip of the cap to him. He is our favorite billionaire home designer, and we hope to all be living in Frank McKinney homes one day.
I want to live in a Frank McKinney treehouse.
Absolutely, I would settle for a treehouse. Most
baby.
Definitely.
Before we end, let me ask you one quick question, man.
Yeah, lay it on me.
What would a Great Awakening look like if Frankie Chan led it?
Ooh, Frankie Chan. Well, there'd be a lot of extemporaneous speaking. Not a lot of notes, not a lot of prep. There'd be a lot of energy. I think.
You're describing the show right now. I'm talking about Frankie Chan.
Dude, no, Frank is perfect. We found
our motivation.
Yeah, Frank is perfect. He's kind of ethnic, so that's a win. It would actually probably be Frankie Chan, baby. You're
it might be. I know.
A compelling point here.
I know.
Good thought there, man. Good thought. So Smitty may take umbrage with that, but you know what? He can take it up with the program off the air because boys, we have wandered to and fro throughout these topics, which is a thing that we always do. I have enjoyed it. I hope you have too. And until next time, Rachel the Held Evans.
The Happy Rant is brought to you by Resonate Recordings.
If you go to resonaterecordings.com, you can see the full range of services they offer. So if you're considering starting a podcast, they are the ones we recommend going with. Again, go to resonaterecordings.com to see their prices, to connect with them and ask any questions, and to see what they can do to help you launch, edit, master, and improve your podcast. Again, go to resonaterecordings.com to see what they can do to help you launch and improve your podcast.